just push that. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us for this lovely night of cooking. I'm excited to learn because I cannot cook as I just ordered Chinese food. But without further ado, I would love to introduce Russ and Beth, so you guys can take it away.
Hi everyone. So I'm Russ.
And I'm Beth.
We are the leadership of the residence life side of the residence life side of housing and residence life. Beth is the director, and she is my boss. And I'm Russ. I'm the associate director. I oversee the resident directors, who indirectly supervise the resident assistants that are in charge of all the floors that all your students live on. So I was asked tonight to do a virtual family dinner. And so I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about what our family dinners are. They're part of our first generation student programming that we do here on campus. So every month during non-COVID times, I invite a faculty member or a staff member or otherwise some person at the university that I feel like our first generation students should get the chance to meet. And I asked them to cook a dinner in the residence hall lobby from scratch that is something that they would make for their own family. I asked them to consider bringing their own family along, and then they also pick someone else from the university that they connect with to be their sous chef. And so the idea is that we're kind of creating a living room experience, a dining room experience for our first gen students while they're away from home and living with us at the university. And so we haven't been able to do that at all this year, which has been quite a bummer, but we were asked to do a virtual version of that today. So I'm your chef. I'm from Kansas. I'm a first gen student. I'm actually a doctoral student here at Hofstra right now. And I asked Beth to be my sous chef. And so her chopping abilities basically are going to be on the keyboard today.
That's right. Yeah, so I'm going to load the information regarding what we're cooking tonight, and then actually the cooking instructions that Russ is going to kind of breeze through, and he's already kind of put, many of the ingredients, parse them out, and I'm going to answer any questions that you may have. Feel free to, put any questions that you have about what we're doing tonight, and then also about residence life, the first gen program, anything that we can answer, even if it's not related to our area. We're happy to kind of talk with you and answer any kind of closing questions or end of the semester questions. We're here to support in any way that we can.
So I knew that to do this program, I needed to cook something probably in like 30 or 45 minutes. And so I also knew I was cooking with an audience of parents. And so that's a little daunting because my skills are just the average kitchen cook. So I decided to actually go the opposite route and pick something that was cheap, easy, was made from scratch, and is something that really the students could make themselves in the residence hall kitchen if they were so inclined. It's not costly to make, and it doesn't take terribly much time. So I'm going to make pasta with fresh cherry tomatoes and basil. It sounds super simple, but it is delicious. I'm using my husband's recipe.
When did you get married?
That's immaterial. I'm not ready yet. My husband is married to someone else, but soon he will be mine. So this is from the Stanley Cucci's cookbook. I actually think it's great. And he is beautiful. So our recipe list that Beth can post is a pound of pasta, whatever kind you want. I'm choosing to do linguine from Trader Joe's. We have 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, a small onion finely chopped, a clove of garlic that's minced for us, a pound of ripe cherry tomatoes here. I think I'm actually using grape, doesn't really matter, truth be told. A cup of basil leaves, a tablespoon of salt, and some Parmesan Reggiano cheese for later for serving. This is the one ingredient that's actually a little costly depending on where you buy it. I highly recommend Trader Joe's because this whole thing is like $4, whereas at other grocery stores, this much could be like $8 to $10. I was just at Whole Foods last night, and this was like $10. So to get started, we're gonna salt our stock pot full of water and turn it on high to get it boiling. For those of you who are super novice cooks, salting the water makes the pasta taste a little bit better. Some people also choose to put olive oil in there, so I'm actually going to do a little bit of that as well, even though the recipe doesn't say so, because part of good cooking is not following the directions.
And Russ, where do you get your basil from?
I also got that from Trader Joe's, although I used to have a plant in my back area, but it's not survived the cold so far.
Oh, well, Russ used to give me fresh basil in the summer, which was an amazing treat for, for making pesto, which was really tasty. So I was hoping that you had some fresh basil, but
I
I'm
don't.
sure it's going to be delicious.
I had to buy it so that it was nice and green and pretty and not the yellow stuff that I've been coming up with lately. So while that's getting started, I'm going to put the olive oil in my pan here on like a sort of a medium-low heat. Again, that's 3 tablespoons. I'm trying to be super fancy, so I have the prep cookware like you would see like on a TV show. I'm very fancy right now.
We have a question. Do you have a favorite brand of cookware?
Whatever's cheap. I buy a lot of stuff at Marshalls and TJ Maxx. I think that the Califon, if I'm saying it correctly, brand is really nice. It tends to last longest out of the stuff that I buy, but I don't know. Do you have a favorite brand, Beth?
I would agree. My husband also likes what is it, the cast iron cookware sometimes. So
like
he will, yeah. So he'll season cast iron and cook a lot of things in that type of cookware. But same thing for us. Whatever's on sale at Marshalls or Macy's is the best cookware that we use at the time.
I think that's a good policy.
Pampered Chef cookware, that seems to be pretty good, and they have like lifetime guarantee. So I like the Pampered Chef cookware. They also carry cast iron, similar to the Califon.
Nice.
So Beth, you've come to a bunch of our first gen programs. What are some of the things that you have witnessed there that you enjoy and that you notable that parents might want to know about?
So the things that I really enjoy about the first gen dinners is that we kind of take the programming to the student and to the students, and I use the word warmly, but we kind of invade their space and in a warm and welcoming way. So sometimes it's easy to say, come to this, or come, meet us here. But sometimes first gen students, they hear the invitation, but they don't feel the invitation, and they're nervous about, like, is this a fancy event? Should I wear something that I'm not wearing, or do I have to RSVP, or do I have to stay the whole time, or what are the requirements of the program? So this is a way for us to kind of be in their space, and they can kind of float in and float out, and almost kind of like test us out in a situation. If they want to stay, they stay. If they don't, they don't. Usually once they understand that it's a non-threatening, there's no obligation to stay there other than, come check us out. And if you like what we're serving, join us and sit down and hang out for as long as you want. So I think students they put their toes in the water, and then, they understand that it's comfortable and safe and enjoyable to be there, and then they start to come every month. And we see with the first gen programs that usually one person comes in, and then that person will go get their friends, or the second time that they come to a program, they come with a group of people so that they all sit together. But it's a really nice way for students to engage with staff or faculty over a meal. And we don't talk business all the time. We want to support and provide resources for the time that maybe they need specific support on a certain topic, whether that's like advising, or check-in or check-out, or different things that are affecting their world right then. But for the most part, we really just kind of sit and relax and eat some more, and then wait for dessert to be served, and just really have some laughs and a nice time.
We've had some really good guests over the last couple of years. We've been doing it. Vice President Houston's done it twice, actually, once as the chef, and then once he was invited by the provost as the sous chef, the faculty in residence as the sous chef. We've also had some faculty members from STEM, Jess Santangelo, who got like a very large grant for STEM students. So I was really excited to get to introduce some of the first gens to her so that they can have access to a faculty member that potentially could help fund some research interests that they might have. We've had both of the professors, Lardier and Efthymio, they have very hard to pronounce last names, who work in the Writing Center in Writing and Rhetoric. And everybody's made some really interesting things. We've had people from financial aid who made Italian food. Dean Gabby came and had Haitian food, which was fantastic. The students loved that a lot. I particularly love that a lot as well. But I think one of the benefits of the program is that we're able to bring in so many different people from so many different backgrounds that are exposing all the students to a number of different kinds of food, almost all of it homemade. And I'm having things at the meals that I've never had before. So I feel like we're very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of times students will talk about, you know, what they miss about home. And many times it's surrounded around food and gatherings. So to have this type of a program really, it doesn't replace, but it helps to replicate that feeling for the student who may be homesick or having, you know, just struggling a little bit with acclimating to a new environment. So it has multiple benefits, I've found.
And having the food cooking in the lobby is one of the best advertisements for the program, because as soon as the students smell it, they start coming in and asking what's for dinner tonight and kind of checking out the ingredients, seeing who's there. So that's certainly a benefit for our program as well. While we've been talking, I added to the hot oil, I added the tablespoon of garlic, which is about a clove of garlic that's minced, and one small onion that's been finely chopped. And so it's gonna cook for a little bit there. I'm not gonna go as far as let it get to change color, but right before it starts to change color, then I'm gonna move forward with the tomatoes, which will start to emulsify with the onion and oil. And that will make our sauce.
Perfect.
I'm using fancy words like emulsify.
I know, I was just thinking that.
It was in the cookbook. So, Kayla, you're a first-gen student. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if there were any questions out there or any things that that are on people's minds that we can kind of help with or answer. Okay, Russ, ask your question to Kayla.
Kayla, I know that you're a first-gen student here on campus, and I'm curious to know, from a student perspective, before you became a grad student, what were your thoughts about the first-gen programming that was happening? Did it catch your eye?
Well, so this is a funny story. I am a first-gen student, and I didn't even know that I was a first-gen student because I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know I was first-gen until my junior year. Well, actually, right before my senior year, when I was an orientation leader, Russ, you actually came to present to the orientation leaders, and I went to take there was like a sticker or something that said first-gen supporter or first-gen student, and I took the supporter because I didn't know what it meant, and my sister, who is obviously also a first-gen, took the first-gen student. And I was like, wait a second, what does that mean? Like, and then she explained it to me, and I was like, wow, I could have been so involved and done so many things. But once I knew about it, and then I like found out like all of the resources that were provided, it was amazing. And I wish I could have taken advantage of it earlier. And now I see how much it's grown to the program, and I think it's amazing for the first-gen students.
We try really hard to make sure that people understand the definition. We've got, during times when we're in the student center, we have big posters up. Our definition is that neither parent or guardian has earned a bachelor's degree in the United States. So if your older brother or sister has a bachelor's degree, you're still first gen. If your parents started school or maybe got an associate's degree but didn't graduate with a bachelor's degree, you're a first gen student. And so the things that we offer to students, as you know, are supports and celebrations and things like that, and they're open to all students because anything we do could benefit any student. We specifically want to make sure that first gen students see it and know about it and know that it's for them. So your sister's actually the RA of the first gen living learning community this year.
Yes, she is. I'm so proud of her.
She's doing great. I was just as I mentioned, I'm a doctoral student, and I was interviewing some of the students last night who were in the LLC, and they had really great things to say about your sister.
Oh, I love that. That makes me happy. we've worked hard. And one thing I've noticed about first gen students as a whole is that I feel like once you meet another first gen student, you kind of just know that you have that bond and you can ask each other questions, the questions that you would have asked your parents, but they might not know the answer to, like whether even it's about financial aid or anything. And then you kind of have a little bond, which is really nice.
Have you checked out the hofstra.edu/firstgen website?
Let's see if I can pull that up right now.
Thank you. I was just going to do it too.
We have like this whole section that's all a glossary of definitions of words, like college speaky words, that are both like basic to any university, but we also have Hofstra University specific like slang and language there. So if a student hears something, they don't have to feel embarrassed about not knowing what it is. They can go there and find out.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, there's links to our Instagram there and our Twitter where you can see their pictures. There's a feed of photos from past programs on there. And if you click in the top left corner on the hamburger menu, you'll see all the things, or did they? There we go.
There it is.
You'll see all of the different things we have. We have a whole section just for parents and family, in fact.
I'll just click on it. Wow, this is awesome.
The brochure on the right was made by Adrian Kravitz, who was in your position before you.
Wow.
And that's our associate director of the fitness center.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it really does help to break down information. You know, I remember being in college and, you know, being like hypersensitive to ask questions about, you know, well, what does that mean? Or because I thought that I was just supposed to know that, and people were using those terms because I was, you know, I should know what they're talking about. So I spent a lot of time kind of not really understand the full conversation, but being too proud or too embarrassed to kind of say that I didn't know what, you know, what someone was talking about or what they were referencing. So, you know, it's I find that these programs are really helpful in cutting down in you know, with those types of challenges for our students.
I don't know if you saw on the webpage also on the right-hand corner, there was like this circle logo. We're really proud of that little circle logo. It's basically all about how Hofstra University was named in the first cohort of institutions by the National Association of College and Student Personnel Administrators as one of the 80 institutions doing the most to support first-gen students in the country. So we were super proud about that. And then last year, we actually, at the Long Island College Student Personnel Association, the first-gen family dinners won Program of the Year. So we also were super, super proud about that, and happy that people are learning about the programs that we do and thinking maybe about ways to do them on their campuses as well.
Very cool.
Just to add in about that, actually, I'm starting my job search for the future, the very close future. And I've seen a lot of first gen, like assistant director of first generation student life. It's a ton, actually. And I think that's really great that they're starting to be up and coming.
It is exciting.
It really
to see
is.
start to be created. They're all new for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It is. It's a great trend that is hopefully going to kind of solidify that, you know, first gen centers and first gen programs really deserve to be at every institution. So how's it going, Russ?
Well, our tomatoes are sweating, which is a term that was not in the cookbook, but I do know. And the water is getting close to boiling, but I'm kind of sitting here thinking about like I'm washing the pot, so of course it's going to take forever. But I think
you said your tomatoes are sweating?
Sorry, the onions are sweating, I mean.
The onions, gotcha.
Here I was thinking I was being fancy and you caught me in a mistake.
I know. It's what I'm here to do.
Just like work.
Exactly.
So what's happening in residence life right now? What are some things that students might need to be thinking about?
Well, so we're just a couple of days away from really kind of wrapping up the semester. In my head, I keep singing the song, looks like we made it, because, you know, we made it. We have literally made it to Thanksgiving, which, you know, at the beginning of the summer and then at the middle of the summer and And then through check-in and move-in, it's had its challenges, but it has been a successful semester. And now students are really, they will finish their semester at home and complete their finals at home. And then it's amazing that we won't really see them until the spring semester, which would be check-in around the last week of January. So, we're talking about almost 9 weeks of time between the fall semester and the spring semester, which is a long winter break. But obviously it was it was a good decision for the university to make, to close at Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, we see that things are kind of on the rise across the country. So I think this is the best decision that most colleges and universities have made for their students. So we're hoping that students get to rest and kind of regroup and rejuvenate, and then come back for a in-person or a hybrid in-person online kind of semester for the spring.
I don't know about you, Kayla, and Catherine also is in the doctoral program here at Hofstra. Kayla's in the master's program. I don't know if you guys are going to get the restful break. I'm dreaming of Netflix binges, but I know that I'm going to be doing lots of research and lots of writing for my dissertation. So I don't know what you guys are staring down. Catherine, are you there with us?
I am.
Are you looking to do a lot of work over break on your study?
I did. I hope to finish any day now.
That's exciting. Do you have is your defense scheduled?
No, as soon as I said.
Okay.
That was a good no. No.
Starting to see all of our the classmates in the year above me. They're like all the emails are coming through. So and so is they're scheduled. They're passing. And
I know that motivates me to keep going. I owe Dr. Finelli a version, and hopefully it will be the final one. Hopefully.
What's your topic?
What activities create a sense of community in online graduate courses? And
nice.
Sense of community and education satisfaction.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
So my tomato or my onions are just now starting to take on a little bit of color. So before they get any darker, I'm going to throw in my pound of half cherry or grape tomatoes, and then it's going to start to sizzle and get kind of loud. So with that, I am turning the heat up to about 3/4 of the way, and I'm also going to put in my tablespoon of salt and get to stirring.
Now, Russ, in the cookbook that you took this from, can you add different things? Like if you wanted to add like a different protein, could you do shrimp or chicken or beef to it? Or have you ever tried that?
Say this cookbook's a little finicky, to be quite honest. Like he's suggested using a diffuser for this step, which I don't see the point in. And he also wants you to take the spaghetti directly from the pot and put it in the pan, which I think is going to create a mess. So I'm actually going to dump this into the pot with the spaghetti. I think you can probably do whatever you want, quite frankly. This pasta is well suited for probably shrimp, actually, because it wouldn't soak up much of the liquid. I think chicken might soak up a bit.
Yeah.
But
and maybe if you did shrimp, you would put like a little bit more garlic in.
Well, I think anytime you see a recipe that tells you to use 1 clove of garlic, you use 2 or 3, in my opinion.
My husband would agree with you. Yeah, the more garlic, the better.
All right, so my pasta water is bubbling. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Hopefully not spill it all over the floor.
Do you use Trader Joe's pasta all the time?
I like it. It's cheap, actually, and it's a good quality. And their lasagna sheets are really nice because you don't have to boil them before you use them. You could just put them directly in the pan. So it saves you a whole extra step. Alexa,
interesting,
set
because
for 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Fancy.
My assistant is busy.
Wow. You're so fancy.
That's me.
You're so fancy. I would think that you'd have a Stanley Tucci cookbook. That's how fancy I think you are.
Truth be told, I actually got that in the bargain section of the university bookstore in that little cart they put out front. So I got this cookbook for $5.
You know, Russ, I have to tell you, I actually remember that I remember that because you walked away from that table because it was $10 at one point. And you said, I am not paying $10. It'll go further on sale later. And I guess it did.
That is a very me thing to have done, yes. I'm no dummy.
Oh, that's right.
I have student loans to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, when I marry him, I will get a free copy anyways.
There you go.
So really, it was a $5 investment in my future.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a really perfect time for us to just to give the parent council, so Catherine and Jennifer Michelle, if you guys are around, not to put you on the spot, if you wanted to just talk a little bit about our parent council cookbook that will be coming out soon while the pasta's boiling.
Hey, Catherine.
Take it away. Oh, yeah, it was Jennifer Michelle's idea, and it's something that the parent council did several years ago, is to have everyone contribute recipes for a parent council cookbook and fundraiser. You want to tell us how to submit recipes and what we're looking for?
Yeah, so I believe, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't had an opportunity to actually meet with Branka to speak about the submission of recipes, but I believe that Lori created a Google form, and I believe they're going to be submitting it through the Google form. I did send her the different tabs of what's going to be included in the cookbook. I can actually share those. So we're going to have a section with appetizers and beverages, soups and salads, vegetables and side dishes, main dishes, breads and rolls, desserts, cookies and candy, and then the last section for all the miscellaneous is the this and that tab. So for a little, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I think it's going to be done through the Google form, and I think from there, once we compile all the recipes from the Hofstra community, family, staff, faculty, we'll submit them directly. I'll transfer that information over to Morris Company to the account that we created, and hopefully we'll have a cookbook by the new year. So
Very cool.
yeah, so
Are you
can add a new cookbook to your shelf.
I added the topics in the chat
Oh, awesome.
of
Thank
what we're
you.
looking for. I shared that with everyone.
I'm so interested in this and that, like what falls under that category.
It'll be my recipes.
That's right.
Sometimes you have those dishes that you don't know where to put them. It's like little, it could be like a sauce or, I don't know, puree of something that sometimes, so not knowing where to put it. So I figured that would be a perfect area for those little miscellaneous things. Little concoctions that you invent sometimes with whatever you have in the fridge. And I know sometimes I'm like, I just grab whatever is there and I just come up with something in 5 minutes.
So we're starting collecting recipes soon, I guess after the Thanksgiving break, and we'll be collecting through January?
I think that through February is going to be the deadline to submit recipes. I did submit a timeline to Branka. I was a little bit delayed this week. Work was a little hectic for me, so I haven't really been able to touch base with her, but I believe the deadline is going to be February. We do have April 1st as the date to submit the cookbook to the company. So I wanted to submit it the first day. They have an available coupon that we could use. So I'm a bargain shopper. So we're hoping to use that coupon on the first date so that way production takes a couple of weeks. We'll hopefully have it for the end of the school year and going into the new family orientation for next year, for next semester. But I think Branka, I hope is okay with those deadline dates. I didn't get approval from her yet, so I'm not sure, but hopefully by then, we'll collect for a while.
Definitely. Thank you guys. I'm
Thank
looking at
you.
Russ's screen and it's looking very colorful and pretty.
So
I
far.
know.
I saw in the chat that someone asked about my spice rack. I believe I got that at the Container Store, and I just like literally nailed it to the wall. Shh, don't tell my boss.
If you didn't know, Russ and I both live on campus, so that's why he's saying, "Don't tell my boss." So we both live on campus in university apartments here. So, Russ, we lost you. Dinner's canceled. I wonder what happened. He was walking around with his camera, so maybe it was just maybe just got disconnected. He should. Yep, he said he just texted me. He said I'm coming. So give him 1 second. He should be back.
While putting my my phone on the thing, I hit the emergency button and tried to call 911. So hopefully it's.
Fantastic. Well, that's how you're going to invite people over for dinner? Public safety is going to arrive?
I mean, if I can't have Stanley Tucci, at least I could have the fireman.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. I like how the red pot, the pasta pot, matches the tomatoes in the pan. It looks very color coordinated. So weird when there are two, two screens that have the one person on them. You're muted.
It's helpful for me to see on the bigger screen sort of where everybody's at, because here I can only see one person.
Oh, okay. Ooh, it's sizzling away.
So it is. Alexa, how much time is left on my timer?
You have 30 seconds left on your 8-minute timer.
Ooh, wow. Talk about, you knew it was coming up.
I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit on my pasta. I'm trying to turn the volume up on this. There we go. All right. All right. Alexa, stop. All right, I'm draining the pasta, not throwing it away.
Thanks for the clarification. We were all worried.
The recipe did say to put it directly into the pot, directly from the water, but I feel like that's going to create a mess that I don't want to clean up later. So here we go.
I wonder if that's to add more liquid to the pan. Because you would be taking some of the pasta water with you.
Before I turn this over, however, I'm going to take some of my basil. And I'm supposed to tear it, so I'm just going to literally tear it into pieces. And let it wilt into the sauce.
Do you like a lot of basil, Russ?
I do. I think it makes it taste really fresh.
Mm-hmm. I like basil too.
I was just gonna ask, how do you know how much of anything to put in something? I don't know how to do anything.
It says a cup, and truthfully, that's actually really hard when you have like leafy greens, because you could have a handful that's a cup, or you could have you could shove a whole bag in there. So I just kind of take my best guess. I mean, if you mess it up, you can always order pizza.
That is a great advice, and I will take that.
I think it also depends on if you like basil as like a main ingredient or if you like basil as like a seasoning, so if you like a hint of basil, you're going to put less, but if you like it as like a main player, then.
All right, so This is what it's looking like.
That's amazing.
That looks beautiful.
It really does. It's so pretty in color.
I let the tomatoes cook a little longer than I was supposed to because I like them a little softer, but The recipe actually wants you to only cook them for like 4 or 5 minutes. But I'm going to go the easy route and just dump this all directly in the pot. And then use my tongs just to sort of pull it all together. When I'm making it the first time, I was actually thinking that it didn't work because there's not like a red pasta sauce. It didn't look, you know, like the spaghetti from the jar that I'm used to. But the sauce here really is the oil and the tomato juices. And so it actually ends up tasting really good, even though it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on.
So Russ, we have requests for your address in the chat.
Is that Stanley Tucci? Because if so, I'll give it right away. All right.
Question about how you did the pasta. It might be silly. I missed the first part when you started boiling that. But do you put anything when you're like? Do you add salt or like a sprinkle of oil or anything in your pasta when you're boiling it, or you just throw it in plain water?
The recipe said just to put it in the water, but I always salt my pasta, and because tonight I was feeling fancy, I put some olive oil in there as well.
Okay, okay. And then my second question was, what's your take on? I know that some people sometimes before, like they put the spaghetti in there, they break it in half. Do you recommend that, or does it matter?
Depends on if I'm on a date or not. If I'm by myself, no, I want the long pasta. I want to feel luxurious. But if I'm on a date, I don't want that.
You're going to slurp it?
It's a good answer.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we're just getting the good stuff, trying to make it a little pretty. All right. And I'm going to take a little extra basil and just sort of tear it up and put it on top in sprinkles.
So he really likes basil.
I do. But I also want it to look pretty for you when I actually show it to you at the end.
Sure. And what kind of like sprinkle cheese do you use?
This is Parmesan Reggiano. Probably not saying correctly, but
no, I think yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, it can be expensive. It's the only part of the recipe that's a little expensive, so I always get this at Trader Joe's because it's so much cheaper. This was like $4.
Oh, see, I would have put like a soup spoon of that cheese on it.
Well, you don't know what happens when the camera turns off.
True, true.
So, dinner is ready.
Wow, that is so pretty. That looks delicious.
Again, I chose this because students could make this relatively easy, and it's cheap, and you can get most of the things at any of the grocery stores you would go to. So if your student is looking for some home cooked food or is sick of the cafeteria food, I think this is a good opportunity.
Was that your cat?
Don't tell my boss. She wanted to be on camera as well.
Oh, I'm sure she's hungry. It sounds like she's hungry too. Is that who the second bowl is for? Too funny.
What's actually really funny is the person that the second bowl is for has been literally asleep, mouth open on the couch this entire time.
Hilarious. Well, I'm sure the smell of that delicious food will make anyone, arise.
We'll hope so. Did anybody have any other questions? I can check the chat to see if I missed anything. Kayla, is there anything else that we needed to chat about, or?
I don't think so. Catherine, Jennifer, Michelle, anything else you wanted to add? We can plug our next parent council meeting is December 5th, Saturday?
Yes.
The date? 1 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Be on Zoom. Join us if you'd like. That's all I got. Thanks for coming out, everybody, and thanks for Russ and Beth for cooking and talking to us about all this stuff. It's really helpful, and I appreciate it.
Very interesting. You'll
Is
send
Beth,
that recipe, right? Looks so good.
The recipe's actually in the chat if you want to go grab it.
Okay.
I believe the recipe got cut off a little bit. If
Oh,
you
okay.
could email it to me, and then I can email it to everyone that attended. That would be awesome.
I'll
And so, Beth,
do
are
that
you
right
on your
now.
way over to do the dishes, or?
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You will.
Enjoy, Russ.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too.
Sherry Sandler, and Debbie Silverman. We are so grateful for your support.